supporting you in your dog parenting journey. The Dynamic Dog Owner with Debbie Potter.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Dynamic Dog Owner, the podcast designed to support you, the dog parent, in your dog parenting journey. As you will know if you have listened before, we look at all different aspects of living with a dog and how you can be the best dog parent you can be. If you're looking for specific dog training advice, so how to teach exercises, check out our Pawcademy. So this week's episode is a little bit about how our dogs train us. Obviously, we put so much emphasis on dog training, teaching our dog how to behave, teaching our dog skills, teaching our dog what to do in situations. But have you ever stopped and thought about how much your dog actually trains you to do what they would like? Possibly not. And that's what we're going to look at today. Because I think it's quite funny that we do spend a lot of time obviously looking at it from our perspective, and our perspective is I'm teaching my dog to do X, Y, Z. But I would love personally to just listen to what my dog's saying. I'd love for my dog to have like a computer where it can convert its thoughts and go, God, look at all this stuff I'm making this human do. Because I'm sure they see it as the other way round. One of the classics I sort of describe this about is scent work. So if anyone's sort of met me, trained with us before, you'll know I'm really passionate about scent detection. I really enjoy it. I love teaching it. I love seeing dogs enjoy it. I love doing it with my own dogs. And we put a lot of emphasis on teaching a really strong indication. So basically our dog communicating to us that they've found the scent we've asked them to look for. And we spend ages teaching them this indication. So for example, my dog remits a freeze. When he smells the smell he's looking for, he becomes a statue and freezes until I say, well done. And on a good day, he can do that freeze for about 15 seconds, 20 seconds ish. And obviously we're always striving to make it longer. And I'm sitting there going, and I think everybody, if you've done this with your dog before, we sit there going, oh, look how clever my dog is. I've made them stand still and indicate for a whole 20 seconds to tell me that they found it. And flip side, I'm sure the dogs are going, my human is so stupid that they can't smell this smell or realise that I've smelt it, that I'll make it so easy for them. I'll stand here like a statue for a whole 20 seconds so they can't possibly miss it. I just think it's quite funny because I'm sure that's what they're doing, because they're like, are you stupid? Can't you smell it? And they're making it really easy for us, whereas we think we're actually training them to be really clever. Anyway, that's my little tangent. But this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. We see it from our perspective, not from their perspective. And we're always thinking about what we've taught our dog, but I'm sure they are doing the same and going, look what I've taught my human to do. Because it is all about this mutual learning. We're always learning, aren't we? Let's face it. And it's not just about teaching our dog. It is about us learning as well. But there are definite things that our dogs have taught us. I am 1,000% guilty. I know there are things that my dogs have taught me, and I just go, yeah, okay, I will be trained. So obviously, dogs are we know this, dogs are very, very, very aware of body language and patterns in behaviour. So often people will say, oh, my dog's really clever. They're psychic. They can tell what's going to happen. They're not. They just are very contextual and routine driven. And they know that X means this. And if you do one thing, it means the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. They see like patterns in behaviours. And we're actually quite boring humans. We do things in the same order. We're really predictable. And obviously this is where dogs then start to pick up on our behaviours. They see patterns forming and then expect the next things. But also, they know how to communicate with us. We know from dogs that, body language in terms of, how they make, how they move their body language, how they may change their eyes, how they change their ear posture, all these things to communicate with us. And I'm sure there is a, way that we just go, oh, isn't it cute? And then they've effectively trained us to get these behaviours from them. So let's think about the ways in how this has happened. So, and I'll give you a few examples because I've got loads of what my dogs have trained me to do. So we're always thinking, how can I teach them to do stuff? But they have taught us to do stuff. So hands up, if your dog jumps up at you, do you put your hand down to push them down or to fuss them? If you're chatting and your dog barks when they're on, like you've met someone on a walk, you're chatting to somebody, your dog barks, you then go, oh, I'm very so sorry, we need to crack on, and you get moving. Your dog's trained you to stop your conversation and carry on with their walk. Think about that. Like, I know one of my dogs does it. If I'm sitting on the sofa, he will come and ask me to move off of the sofa. He comes and he puts his chin on my leg or on the sofa, and I'm like, oh yes, of course, darling, I shall move for you. And I get up and I move. So he's trained me to get off the sofa. One of the others likes to get my attention, so he'll paw me to make me fuss him. He is training me to give him what he wants. So there's all these sort of behaviours. Think about, like, I've taught one of mine to ring bells to go out in the garden for a wee. He dings the bell, butler appears, we go, oh, aren't they clever? They've learnt to ring the bell to ask to go for a wee. They're going, ding-a-ling, come on, human. I know if I give you this instruction, you will come running. So actually, they're doing the training. And we are just following it, thinking that we are training them. But they do communicate with us what they want. And inadvertently, we do indeed give it to them. So they do have all these subtle ways that they are effectively asking for stuff. For other examples, you're training them, and they don't do what you wanted them to do because you've asked. You've asked for a lay down, and they roll over, and you go, "Oh, isn't that cute?" And you feed them. They're just like, "Hey, anything that makes them happy, I can do, and I get treats." So they're training us to give them treats. You probably have seen there's like a meme that's an adult dog and a puppy, and it's the adult dog saying to the puppy, "Play dumb for as long as possible, you get more treats." And it's so true, isn't it? There's loads of things that our dogs have taught us to do, and it kind of is that mutual learning of, have we taught them or have they taught us? Who knows? One of my boys, love him, has a terrible lockdown habit, and we're still working on eradicating this lockdown habit. He knows if the phone rings, I will give him some treats. Because in lockdown, whenever I was talking, I was busy and I was trying to deliver live training on the computer with a house full of people under house arrest. And if he so much as barked, I'm like, shh, and I'd throw him a treat. And now he worked out very quickly in COVID. If mum's talking, she'll want me to be quiet, so she'll throw me a treat. So he then has trained me to give him treats by giving a little woof, because he knows I need him to be quiet. This is where he's really clever. If it's someone who I'm casual with and I'm not official, he doesn't even bother because he knows the tone of my voice means it won't work. So he effectively has trained me to feed him. These are all the things. So what situations has your dog done this in? Are there any? Has your dog taught you or trained you to behave in a certain way? Whether it's through just expectation or patterns, but they will have taught you to do something. Whether it be, a look at you at a certain time of the day, or a nudge or a paw, something they will have trained you to do. And I think it's just really quite amusing. But obviously, how do dogs do this? Let's face it. We know dogs are rewarded because basically a reward is something that benefits them or something that's good for them. So, for example, if they do something good, we give them a treat. If they want to go and chase a pigeon and we let them, that's a reward. But dogs do the same for us, if you think about it. They will come up to us and offer affection and go, hey, hi, to get what they want. So, for example, they may come up and go, look at this fancy trick I can do, and then they get treats. So they start to actually flip it on its head and go, if I do this, you're going to give me what I want because I want it. And then they start to learn these patterns that we do. and then predict them and start like using them to their own advantage. It's almost like they're taking over the world. Not in a nasty way, not in like a domineering way, but like in a really clever way. They're teaching us what to do. They teach us to respond to what they need. We go, oh, look, I've got my dog on a wonderful schedule. But then some dogs, like Rem, for example, he has trained us. He has trained us to give him exactly what he wants. He's like, dinner at 6. I need a walk at this time of the day. And he knows exactly how to get it from us because he knows what pushes our buttons. So when you think about it, like, for example, Rem, for example, in the afternoons, he doesn't wee and poo in the garden. It's so incredibly annoying. I would love him to wee and poo in the garden. But he gets quite desperate and he wants to go out. So when he wants to wee, he goes and stands by the front door and he stares at you and almost like bores into, like, stares into your soul. Going, please take me for a walk. And it's so intense. And you're like, all right, I'm going to do it in a minute. And then he knows if that doesn't work, he'll do the next thing. And then he's like, right, I got what I needed. So he effectively has trained me to say, I would like this, please get it for me. And it works. So they're training us all the blimmin' time. It's not us doing the hard work. They are very clever. They're way cleverer than we give them credit for. And they actually just make us think that we are doing all the hard work when you think about it. So obviously, you know, yes, I say this tongue in cheek, and it is, I think it's funny. Do think about how your dog has trained you, because there will be a million ways that your dog has trained you to get what they want, just like we think we're training them. And obviously it is all down to patterns. It is all down to communication. It's all down to sometimes making themselves a little bit of a nuisance for us then to give them what they want. This isn't like, I'm not talking about like unwanted behaviours. I'm on about cheeky stuff. You know, like, come on, shift off the sofa, it's my turn. Those are cheeky, in my eyes, innocent. I don't care. I think it's so sweet that my dog asked me to get off the sofa. And of course, I'm like, of course you can get on. They do teach us, train us to behave their way. And obviously, this is where it's mutual and it's a relationship. It's not just about us controlling them and dominating them, because that's not what we're about. But it is quite interesting that this is a part of how our relationship forms. And if you think about it, it's no different to a human relationship. You have 50-50. Sometimes you ask someone and sometimes they ask you. You take it in turns. That's effectively what our dog is doing. They're saying, well, yes, sometimes I listen to you, but sometimes can you listen to me? And it works. And obviously you've got to get the right balance, let's face it. This is a two-way, yes, it's tongue-in-cheek, yes, it's funny that they train us to do stuff. Obviously, they can't take over. It's got to be a 50-50 balance, making sure we're still very happy about the balance in the relationship. And we just have to be aware of the unintentional side effects of this. So, you know, like barking to get treats. That is like the most annoying thing in my life, that if I'm on the phone, Dave's like, the phone's ringing, mum, I'm going to get food. Really annoying. Everything else is cute. That one's annoying. But it is purely just down to the situation that we were in, trying to be quiet, him seeing a pattern, me reinforcing the pattern. And now it's really, really hard to break, because it's one of those situations, I do need you to be quiet, I'm on the phone. To everyone else, it doesn't matter. But you've got to be aware of these unintentional things that come up. If they're cute and innocent, cool. But they actually train us in other ways too, more negative ways. So think about, for example, pulling on the lead. If I pull on the lead, they're going to get really pissed off with me. They'll unclip the lead and then I get to be free. If I pull them hard enough, I get what I want. So they can start to kind of flip the balance a little bit. So we just have to be aware of these are the only cute, innocent things that this happens with. Not everything. And obviously we just have to recognise when the balance tips too far the other way, that they are literally telling us what to do and training us all the time. So it has to be mutual. And as with any relationship, let's face it, every relationship has to be mutual. But it is recognising when that balance maybe becomes a little bit unhealthy, that they are doing more of the training of us than we are of them, and how we can maintain the healthy stuff. And of course, this is about, you know, continuing with your training, doing all the things you normally would do. If it's becoming that you feel that they are training you too much, then obviously get in touch with a local trainer and start working on that. But if it's just these quirky little things that pop up, all good. So obviously, if you are feeling like the balance has tipped the wrong way and you are now basically your dog's slave, then it's time to revisit some of the basics, having some good boundaries in place and practicing, as I always say, practice stuff you don't need because it's fun. For example, if, like, as I said, with the pulling on the lead, if that's becoming an issue, be strict. I am not going to be pulled. I'm going to stand here. You can pull against me as much as you want. I'm not going to be pulled. You can pull me as much as you want, but the lamppost is not moving, to reinforce the things you really, really want. And then you can go and have some fun with some tricks and some fun stuff. And sometimes putting these things on a cue is really exciting because then it's under control. So for example, I could, if I wanted to, I haven't got time to do this, but I could put it on a cue for Dave that this phone call, the phone ringing actually changes and we do something else. I haven't got time. That sounds really lazy, but I haven't got time. I could if I really wanted to, but it tends to be like a quick phone call when something happens. I'm like, I haven't got time to deal with this right now because I'm busy doing 51 things at once and someone's on the phone. So you could rebalance the scales almost to make sure that you are both having that mutual respect and not being trained too much. So what I'd like you to think about this week, and do let me know if you think of anything. So put it in the comments of the video, or on the podcast, messages on our socials, put it in our Facebook group, whatever. How has your dog trained you? So what kind of things do they do that make you do exactly what they would like and they get a great reward, even though it's probably unintended? So like they ask you to get off the sofa, like asking you for that treat in the cupboard because they look really cute and they went and sat by this classic, you always have the treats in one cupboard. You go and get them a treat and then they go and run to the cupboard and sit there and be like, I'm doing what you would like so that I can get what I want. Those like cute things. What are they? What have they trained you to do? And let me know about it because I think it's really cool. Hopefully, I say this isn't really a helpful episode, I don't think. More of just a humorous how dogs have actually switched the scales without us even noticing, and now we are under the thumb completely. Have a wonderful week. Hope you enjoyed listening, and I will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to The Dynamic Dog Owner with me, Debbie Potter. See you next time.